And at what point, going back to driving it back to the story, going from 1 night to 3 nights to 5 nights a week, at what point did you think to yourself, like, okay, this is way more than a side project. This is actually like
that's a good question.
A big business now, and I need to go back into that maybe 5 day a week intensity. At what point? What was that point where you were like, okay, this is something bigger than just a family project?
Yeah. So we were 1 night a week, and then COVID came. We were 1 night a week. There was no menu. We go to the market. We buy a bunch of things. We make a bunch of pizza. People started showing up. They waited in line. By the time you get to the front, you don't know what you're going to get because there's no menu. And it was random. And so people like pepperoni, but there's no more pepperoni.
Just sold it to the...
It was by the slice, and it was square pies, Roman style, because no one was doing Roman style. And so I was like, it's a blank canvas. You can do whatever you want. It's all about the dough is really important with Roman style. So, and it's really difficult dough because there's a lot of water in it. So it's a very, very challenging dough. So I was like, all right, we'll start with the highest level of difficulty and we'll scale back. So we did it by the slice, and it was 10 dirham a slice. It didn't matter what the slice was, and you didn't know what you're going to get. So there was goose, there was pepperoni, there was duck, there was vegetables. It was crazy.
Why wasn't I there?
But you had no idea what you're going to get. So it was like it was, and it wasn't intentional. It was just we were just making pizza, thinking people were going to come around, and then it got busier. So then COVID came, and also it had to be said that it was just me and Sebastian at that point. So there's two of us. So there'd be a line of people, and you get to the front, there's me and a 13-year-old kid. He was 13. And people were like, well, but why don't you hire more people? I was like, because it's not the point. The point wasn't selling things. The point was a relationship with my kid and for him to work and to feel the intensity. And it turned out that he was really good at it. So like my wife's a physician, but if she were a emergency medical doctor, you'd have to discover that in a restaurant because a restaurant's really dynamic and it's pressure filled and there's people on the other side. It's really... So he turns out to be really good with people. You know what I mean? So it just made sense. So then COVID came, we went online. So we built a website. One of the things that we keyed in on was we had a line of people. And people tell you in the Emirates, nobody lines up for anything. Like people aren't going to line up. People don't stand in line. Yeah. It's hot. It's uncomfortable. People are like luxury. We think luxury is the product. Anyway, people lined up. We were like, how do we recreate the line online? And so we built a website and we had people vote. And we said, we switched from pizza to focaccia. Because if we put a pizza in the box, you take it out, it's different. If I put a focaccia in the box, you take out the same thing. Yeah. So we're going to do focaccia. We're thinking about these 10 things. You vote on them in an effort to make people have a conversation. Yeah. So then people would vote. So we had this game that happened every week. We're thinking about these 10 things. Okay, these are the 4 ones. We're going to do these 4. We'd open the website at 10 in the morning with these 4 focaccia. And it would sell out in 10 minutes.
It's like a sneaker drop.
It was like a sneaker drop, right?
It brings a sense of community because you
100%.
feel like you're
yeah, 100%.
Involved, you know?
And that was the point.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because we were all stuck at home. So we wanted something that kept us together. So then you went online, you bought the focaccia, and you bought a time slot. So then you came one by one and you picked up from us. So we could still be a restaurant because we spent 10 minutes with each person.
Yeah.
That's actually very powerful what you were talking about because you were able to play with the idea of the business because you originally started it not as a money-making scheme, but as a way for you to connect with your son.
Right.
So obviously the profits come thereafter in notoriety,
right.
But I think it's very important when you jump into these things, into any project, whether it's making a pizza, podcast, whatever business, that you go into it for the right intention. And it seems like that's the reason why you're so successful and you kept your success through the pandemic because now you're adjusting 10 toes to what the environment is rather than being forced to do things because of the profit.
Absolutely.
Right? And that speaks to the testament of, you know, it's essentially all about the family, right? And that is the fundamental core of what Marmellata is today. And that's the reason why it's thrived through having the community of people that would vote 4 times a week or once a week on 4 items.
Yeah.
And how did that go? Like, what did that make you realize going through that sort of tough time in the pandemic? How did that change when things started opening up again?
Yeah, it was amazing because we wouldn't have expected that. So the website opens at 10 in the morning. We're sold out by 10:10 because you can't see. So you think you're like chilling at home having a coffee. You're like, should we have tomato or olives? And then you're like, tomato, sold out. Oh, no, olives, sold out. Gone. So you can't see. You're by yourself. But we would switch tabs, and there'd be 150 people, like, online. But you can't see it when you're just on yours. And so then eventually we would sell out by 10:10, and then I'm on the phone from 10 until 11 o'clock. You know, I was waiting, and it gets sold out. I'm really sorry. I'll hold one for you next week. And then the next week, it's 10 until 12. And it was like I was on the phone from 10:15 to 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? Apologizing and saying I'll save you on. So then I was like, you know what? This is that point of inflection where we're selling more disappointment than we are. And eventually people are going to flip. It's no longer fun. And we got to the point where people would buy the focaccia. They'd be the first ones in line. They'd buy it and they wouldn't pick it up.
Oh.
You know, so it was like gamified. It was just like, I just want to, I want to be the guy who gets it. You know what I mean? So then I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to cook for people who don't want to eat. Like you stop being a restaurant. So then we just said, okay, halas. Next week is our last week. We closed. Like, I don't want to be that restaurant.
You closed.
So we said, that's it. We're done. Like,
really?
Yeah. So we just closed.
What was the reaction to that?
It was great. It was amazing. Everybody came out. We had a party. We popped bottles. People bought flowers. I mean, it was a heartwarming community expression. Yeah. And then I thought, we'll go find something else. We'll do something else. We'll open a pizzeria. We'll do whatever it is. And then Aldar bought all that property. So then it wasn't a park like it's now. It's really pretty.
I was going to mention it. Like the souk back in the day, it wasn't how it is now. So even for you to get a line out there, and we got to get some visuals when we show this. But,
yeah, right.
If we could find it. But I remember I used to even jet ski over there, and they had the whole fish markets. Yep. And it was very like just calm park.
It was raw.
Wherever.
Yeah, it was super raw.
Yeah.
I remember when I was living here, people would talk about the old. You've been here for a long time, so I saw it what it is now, more or less. Yeah. But I heard stories that people weren't lining up for anything out there. Yeah. So
not there. It's just like if you know, and it was probably word of mouth, like that 100% to get people to line up.
Right, 100%. Yeah. And then there are two guys who came around, right? Hussein Al Musawi and Hazza Hajeri. And it's because they were cool and they like stumbled upon us. But they were guys who had an audience themselves. And so like Hussein, he's now editor-in-chief, maybe, National Geographic, Middle East. But he's a brilliant, brilliant photographer. And so he came out. His wife owns TTMB in Dubai, To the Moon and Back, like the greatest coffee shop. And so she discovers us on Instagram. He comes around and he digs it. He's like, this is good. Like, it's really good. And it's in our backyard and we don't know about it. So he came and he did like a photo shoot himself. So he does these like long form Instagram stories when he goes deep into something. Okay. So he did this beautiful like photo essay about Marmellata back in the day. Wow. And it just like, it spiked. And then Hazza was engineer at Sheikh Zayed Museum way back then, 2019. And so he comes around, there's a shop, there's this weird guy like making something like, what's going on? What are you doing, man? And I say, blah, 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 blah. And he says, that's really neat. So he says, I'm going to leave. I'm going to come back. Tell me again. I'm like, yeah, that's weird. So he leaves. He walks back in, but he's holding his phone. And he says, tell me what you're doing. So I say it again, but this time to the camera, blah, 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 blah. And it's, he turned out to be somebody. So it's like you meet people along the way. Like the restaurant's a passport to the most interesting people, like those two guys. And their interest in us and other people's interest just propelled it forward. But it's a match. It's like what we do and the people that live here, it's a match. And we're by the sea, you know what I mean? So it's the right thing in the right place at the right time. Alhamdulillah, we got lucky.
Yeah, I mean, luck is always a big part of anyone's success, for sure.